Here comes Moff Skellington, skipping through the woods. What's in the basket, Moff? Is it Skrotu, another raft of bijou word poems? What's he got to do with you? Dog breath. Oh. The choristers are choked. There's a rat in the luggage, straddling on bird gristle calipers their singing frocks, urinating viscous and acidic. It demands a mute to mitigate their shrilling incantation. I'm a rat, but I'm sensitive, so the mute will be the bladder rack. Below the cliff at sea's return, wound around the conscience that synthesises peppermint. Yes, peppermint. Planted there by your mother's choristers in lieu of a proper window box. In lieu of a proper window box and a seed catalogue. The one oft browsed in the waiting room. Ignore the knife on the windowsill. Come and help us with the jigsaw. We're here in the darker part of the room that only flash bulbs can see. That knife is dirty. From lavender roots we cut and strain to overwhelm the kef from our bodies. So just ignore it. Come and find a corner piece for us. We need to know where the sky begins. Come and help, fast as your little legs can carry you. There's a pea-green sea between the lighthouse, here, and the row of dusty ornaments where you're hiding. But please yourself. They don't know how happy I am here among the dusty ornaments. I can see the road and tell when it's time to please myself. Also, lavender is the smell of purple. Purple is a colour that gets me right down. You must shrug it off at a brisk trot, then free the cardum from its porter stocking. Proceed like a weathercock, rusty but restless, perching on the ledges of a cavern in the hillside, alert for the spotting of phosphenes. You don't find it homely in the house these days. That's why you're sitting by the ring road with a packed lunch. You miss the car dump, don't you? There was someone living there with inky breath. That was you. Go back. Shrug it off at a brisk trot. Free it from its porter stocking. Proceed like a weathercock, rusty but restless. A moon the size of the open sea walks across my belly as I flounder in the sleepy 40s. I'm hoping to dream of a drum tonight, one that I can beat to scram the moon gone with a parappa-dum diddle-duff. Yeah, perfect darkness. Perfect darkness is the rainbow's sunken foot for me. A careful mist of black varnish over dandelions, I think. Clemency withholding feathers, punishing with tar alone. A heavier fuffle on the backsides of the flatulent. A small band of mariners floats by to vilify me in song. Cheers, lads. The honeymoon pasture pipe fixes dapples in place, and from their lasting footprint sun spiders hatch to rig a solarium trapeze. Doctored weasels on the dark shelf of the wood believe darkness to be a substance, and their sibilant chorus of complaint to be its solvent. Well, let's take them some brochures for those peach tea resorts, gloaming white and lapis lazuli, trapezium webbed upon the dapples fixed in place by the honeymoon pasture pipe. The picture insisted, like a wing on a pond, drifting in to touch the clay nose of the bank on which I stood, like a plastic heron, menaced by pike and eel. The picture insisted, and it kept a ruin in its cupboards, happy to be shut in with the silence, until the spell be broken by a tourist with a calypso of polyps wrinkling the dunes wherein my neighbours lurk. A tourist, a spindle of clockwork grey from the filter, locked into the trap of my device. I can feel the tiptoes knuckle and drum on the wooden stair. I can see a loafer in the tapestry dust, peaceful. Well, here's one example from the highlights of a choice. Dropsy plumps the oyster. Its halitoxic gums disenchant the oyster impersonator. She is the happy sailor's wife, and a fruit confection collecting pewter, while the sailor is at sea. Every object listed in her book of what is real has an uncle with red hair, a landlubber by affliction. His commanding voice is made from a recipe of harsh ingredients. Dust under the feathers, 1 spoonful. Balloons capsized, 5 ounces. The absence of a song and a dance where the town opens out into the square, locally sourced, mind. Just add a pewter collection and you've got me. For life. Real life. Horninglow is a district of Burton-on-Trent, Staffordshire. Lighter than a charge of vanilla, the wafer collapses into it, then sparks along the crown a flightless eggy bird to follow me home through the lengthening shadows. The wafer became a rug, falling gently onto a playful compression of hedge pig nitrogen, blue as the chimney's wick. And out came the sparks, each one a fracture in a waiting room toy, rubbed with the resinous black putty of bus fares. See those lips in the turf gate, coffin and neater lips, drawing savage playtime spittle from the root of each blade. The beast of new ground has crayons in its hoof and pledges the water map with a siege of bubbles. But someone grey has mounted a tractor to be the Lancer of St. George. Everyone shoulders a perspiration sash and rifles cat's oil in the names of their wives pregnant. But the ellipse reveals an outcome slurred on a bonus of rats and steam bucket envelopes from the lottery. A honey-sprung trap of spindles, wax engines, and a bee bestows a chemical plenty on thought's gaping metabolism. And thought believes that butter is encroaching from the udder, a shock of cold spoon descending on feetless furlongs of green buffer zone. A sharp degree of noon between layers of frock and bib is where the infant self composes thought in readiness for wire to excite the tonsil. And thought is a tracery of vessels in the dumpling, heating our stew with a cartridge of blank signals worn through the ear. The fat-handed one was born on the floor, under a shaft of sunlight dispersed by a lettuce leaf. The birth canal was an accident of blossoms travelling downstream. When traffic blew by, it mouthed a name with sheer piracy in its blood, like a team of raw cloves in a benylin slick. The name was a stroppy little boat with a plump wind stored in its sails, romping onto shingle through a scrum of cephalopods, each visible leg-fringed noggin noisy as Jupiter. The name was Flab Mittens, and no wonder. Dropsy filled the gauntlet with a numb viscosity, beloved of aloe vera drinkers. We are siblings, children of a single wallpaper, huddled in the tufty, counting our toes. The one in the conical hat makes animal noises. The firebrand hangs raw meat from her chin and laughs at superstition and the very idea of zero. And I'm the one barefoot picking hops in Kent, the vinegar and horse chestnut tan, reducing my glow in the firelight. Yep, we are siblings, children of a single wallpaper. Through the lens of a car crash, panoramas of roadside moss bring madrigal sunlight. The quanta of the man-made world is scattered in a picnic formation, spelling out a lewd trapezium developed with window glass to show to good effect the underpants of a pheromone spiv. The victims, supine in a frozen instant, dream of pipers, leading them to linen cupboards, halfway up the stairs. If you'd like to follow me, please. Static lump, you have chosen such a tiny bicycle. Static lump, for whom a tree is fleeting. Placidly you stay a mile from your house, home fire reflected in the pouring rain. Static lump, I understand your choice of such a tiny bike. Scale is unimportant for you. You never intend to use it, am I right? Scale is unimportant, as you're never going to ride that bike. Tie me to the squire of the nod brake is Randall's way of asking for his bed. I'll tie you to the squire of the nod brake is always my response. Yes, I'll tie you to the squire of the nod brake, Randall, and I'll push a coin up his nose. So come on, Randall, time for bed. We can be cosy in a trod-on paper cup and dream under our lids, my doggy, dream under our lids. We're tapping on the window, a picture on the ceiling. We gladly make a knotty rope to climb. Time for bed agrees, the rumble of the dirt, lolling like a daffodil, stood up in plasticine and left in a draft. Thanks very much. Cheers for now.